Remember when your favorite TV star left a hit show, sometimes with a curtain call, but sometimes with a vanishing act? Whether it was a tearful goodbye, a behind-the-scenes send-off, or a quiet fade-out that left fans confused, these exits all made an impact. This is part 3 of our Stars Who Left Hit Shows series, featuring 10 more unforgettable departures from the classy to the chaotic. A bunch of these came from your suggestions, so keep them coming, and if you missed parts 1 and 2, we dropped the links in the comments section below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss part 4. Now, let's get into it with number 10, Jimmy Smits, NYPD Blue. If you watched NYPD Blue in the 90s, you probably ugly cried when Detective Bobby Simone died. Don't worry, we all did. Jimmy Smits joined the show in season 2, stepping in after David Caruso bailed for a movie career that immediately face-planted. We covered that in part 1 of this series.
Oh, Andy, Bobby Simone, good to meet you.
Yeah.
But Smits didn't just replace Caruso, he elevated the show. His chemistry with Dennis Franz's Sipowicz turned a gritty cop drama into one of the most emotionally layered shows on TV, and his slow burn romance with ADA Sylvia Costas gave the series its heart.
He was having trouble putting his clothes on.
So when Bobby started coughing in season 6, fans knew what was up and the writers didn't hold back. Bobby developed a rare heart infection, slipped into a coma, and never woke up. When he died, it wasn't just a sad TV moment, it was a gut punch delivered with surgical precision. The final goodbye between Simone and Sipowicz, that one kiss on the forehead, pure emotional carnage. This is how you leave a hit show, with dignity and a direct hit to everyone's tear ducts. Smits had always planned a limited run, just long enough to avoid being forever cast as TV's most sensitive detective, and he stuck the landing. After NYPD Blue, he never slowed down. The West Wing, Dexter, Sons of Anarchy, How to Get Away with Murder, prestige drama? Well, that was his playground. Oh, and he played Bail Organa in Star Wars, because apparently once you've tamed Sipowicz, governing a planet is just your next logical promotion. Jimmy Smits left the 15th precinct, but he never left our screens. Number 9, Michael Douglas, The Streets of San Francisco. Okay, real talk. Before Michael Douglas was making greed is good speeches or dodging Sharon Stone's ice pick, he was just another pretty face chasing bad guys around San Francisco, and honestly, he was pretty good at it.
Yep, open and shut, 45 caliber and a 45 service issue. Oh yeah, Mrs. Sanders called in, Tommy came home, but he took off again.
Did you get out on APB?
Oh yeah, the heat's on. Armed police force looking for a 14-year-old kid, I don't know.
The Streets of San Francisco was a classic buddy cop drama. Carl Malden as the grizzled 23-year veteran teamed with Douglas as the fresh-faced college boy inspector. It was the blueprint for every 80s and 90s cop show, just with a little more fog.
You said his problem's drinking?
Was.
But the call said he was coming out of a bar when it happened. You think...
I'll know what I think when I have something to think about.
Right.
Douglas stuck around for 5 seasons, chasing crooks up and down those iconic San Francisco hills, back when detective work meant pounding pavement, not shouting "enhance" at a computer screen. But by 1976, he was ready for bigger things. He'd already co-produced One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest the year before, and when it swept the Oscars, he took the hint and left the badge behind. The show tried to keep going with Richard Hatch, Apollo from the original Battlestar Galactica, but the spark just wasn't there. The Streets of San Francisco limped through one last season and wrapped in 1977. Meanwhile, Douglas was just warming up. Over the next 2 decades, he basically was the thriller genre. Wall Street, Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct. He even married Catherine Zeta-Jones, which feels like a pretty solid Lifetime Achievement Award. And these days, he's Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man in the Marvel movies, because of course the MCU needs a wise, cranky scientist.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to break into a place and steal some shit.
Not bad for someone chasing purse snatchers on the Embarcadero. Number 8, Richard Thomas, The Waltons. The Waltons was comfort TV in its purest form. Depression-era family drama with life lessons, warm hugs, and enough wholesomeness to rot your teeth, in the best way possible.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Mary Ellen. Good night, Paul.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Oops, wrong show. At the center of it all was John Boy Walton, the wide-eyed eldest son with dreams of becoming a writer. Played by Richard Thomas, John Boy was the show's narrator, its conscience, and the only TV teen who ever asked to be excused from dinner so he could journal about it.
Boy, I'll tell you something. Lyle's a real whiz in physics. Boy, he can remember problems word for word he hasn't seen in years.
What's your secret, Lyle?
Thomas stuck around for 5 seasons and 122 episodes, but after fulfilling his contract in 1977, he peaced out. Why? Well, he didn't want to spend the rest of his life as television's go-to earnest mountain boy, and can you blame him? The show brought in Robert Whiteman to replace him for seasons 8 and 9, and bless his heart, he tried, but it felt like watching a cover band version of John Boy. Technically correct, it's just missing the soul. Thomas did return for a few guest spots in seasons 6 and 7, easing fans through the switch and basically saying, no hard feelings, just not gonna die on this mountain. After the Waltons, Thomas didn't fade, he pivoted. He won an Emmy for John Boy, picked up Tony nominations on stage, and terrified Gen X as grown-up Bill in the 1990 It miniseries. He later popped up in The Americans as a morally murky FBI agent and in Ozark as Wendy's dad, proving he still knew how to stir up trouble, just without the suspenders this time. And in 2021, 50 years after the original Waltons movie, Thomas returned to narrate The Waltons' Homecoming, a reimagining of the Homecoming: A Christmas Story. It was more than just a comeback, it fulfilled a dream he'd had since first playing John Boy, to be the one telling the story. Not bad for a guy who walked away from the mountain and still ended up with the final word. Number 7, Jackée Harry, 227. In the 80s, 227 brought laughs, attitude, and plenty of front porch gossip to prime time. Set in a middle-class black neighborhood in Washington, D.C., it followed the residents of 227 Lexington Place, especially Mary Jenkins, played by Marla Gibbs, and her flashy, flirty neighbor, Sandra Clark, played by Jackée Harry. The cast was stacked. Hal Williams, Elena Reed Hall, Helen Martin, and future Oscar winner Regina King, but the real fireworks came from the constant back and forth between Mary and Sandra.
Ooh, here comes Sandra. Ooh, the way she walks. If one of them hips break loose, somebody gonna get killed.
Sandra was a man magnet in heels, dripping in confidence and sequence, and Jackée made her unforgettable. In 1987, she became the first black woman to win an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy.
Gorgeous. Oh, why, thank you, Tiffany. I just came from my makeover. A private consultation with Mr. Maurice himself.
But here's where things got complicated. 227 was supposed to be Marla Gibbs' star vehicle, but suddenly all eyes were on Sandra. Behind the scenes, tension reportedly flared when NBC floated a Sandra spinoff. In 1989, they aired a backdoor pilot called Jackée, which followed Sandra moving to New York for a fresh start.
Take a seat, please, Miss Clark.
Thanks. Nice day.
Spoiler alert, it didn't get picked up. Jackée returned to 227, but the vibe was off, and halfway through season 5, she just stopped showing up. Once you've been offered your own show, slipping back into ensemble mode probably felt like wearing a size too small. Without Sandra, the spark faded. 227 limped to the finish line in 1990. But Jackée kept shining. She landed Sister Sister, did Broadway, voiceover work, and guest spots on everything from Everybody Hates Chris to Days of Our Lives. And yes, she and Marla eventually patched things up, proving not all TV drama needs a spin-off. Turns out, when you steal every scene, Hollywood keeps handing you the script. Number 6, Katherine Heigl, Grey's Anatomy. Remember when Katherine Heigl was America's medical drama sweetheart and then somehow became public enemy number 1 in Hollywood? Her rise and crash landing from Grey's Anatomy is the stuff of TV legend. She played Izzy Stevens, the surgical intern with a flair for melodrama who also wore her heart on her sleeve. She fell in love with her dying patient, battled stage 4 melanoma, and married and divorced Alex.
You have to do this for me, or I'll never be able to forgive you.
For dying?
No, for making me love you.
In 2007, she won an Emmy. The very next year, she withdrew herself from Emmy consideration, publicly saying she hadn't been given the material to warrant a nomination. Yeah, she said that in public about the show that made her a star. That line didn't sit well with the writers or showrunner Shonda Rhimes. Suddenly, Heigl had a reputation for being difficult, demanding, and maybe just a little too high on her own hype. Reports of clashes, complaints about long hours, and rumors of movie star ego piled up, and just like that, Grey's Anatomy had a new drama. It just wasn't on screen. Her exit in season 6 was abrupt. One day, Izzy was fired. The next, she left a letter for Alex and disappeared off screen. For a fan-favorite character, it was the coldest send-off since a hospital freezer.
This is Missy Grant from Human Resources.
You're kidding me. You're firing me?
Heigl later said she stepped away to focus on her mental health and family, and eventually admitted she could have handled things better, and to her credit, she's been refreshingly open in recent interviews, especially about the pressure and burnout she felt women faced in that era of TV. Years later, the writers later revealed Izzy had kids via embryos she and Alex froze while married and was living on a farm. The weird thing about Izzy's story on Grey's was that she, a widely disliked character, got to live happily ever after. Meanwhile, beloved characters like Hyler Lee's Lexi Gray, Eric Dane's Mark Sloan, and Patrick Dempsey's Derek Shepherd were all permanently killed off in freak accidents. And don't even get me started on George. We'll save that story for part 5. Anyway, after Grey's, Heigl's movie career shot up and then nosedived, but she's clawed her way back with roles in Suits, Firefly Lane, and a major image rehab tour that proves Hollywood may love a comeback almost as much as it loves a takedown. Are you still there? Well, go ahead and hit that like button, and while you're at it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Number 5, The Wayans Family in Living Color. Remember when In Living Color was the funniest, boldest, most unapologetically irreverent show on TV? That was pure Wayans family magic, baby. Keenan Ivory created it, Damon brought the attitude, Kim, Sean, and Marlon helped turn it into a full-blown comedy dynasty. This wasn't just a sketch show, it was a family-run revolution. In Living Color gave us Homie D. Clown,
Now do a silly clown dance for us.
Oh. Yeah, degrade myself, huh? I don't think so. Homie, don't play that.
Men on Film,
We're gonna have to give this one 2 snaps up in a circle.
and Fire Marshal Bill wreaking havoc.
Hey, Fire Marshal Bill, your finger's on fire!
That's nothing. I caught fire so many times I can't even feel it anymore.
And yes, that was Jim Carrey before Ace Ventura. It also launched the Fly Girls, including a then unknown Jennifer Lopez getting her first taste of fame. The show was fearless, hitting pop culture, race, and politics head on. 0 punches were pulled. But by 1992, things got messy. Foxx, after giving the Wayans the green light to do what they wanna do, sorry, couldn't help myself, they decided to attempt to censor content and began airing reruns without Keenan's approval, which was a financial hit to the show's creator. So Keenan left. Damon followed. Kim, Sean, and Marlon stuck around just long enough to finish the season, then said, "We're out too." This wasn't about ego, it was about loyalty. The Wayans weren't letting a network steamroll their vision. Marlon later noted that Foxx attempted to keep the Wayans family on the show, offering large checks, but Wayans said, "I'm still Keenan's brother after this."
We a family. You touch one, you touch all. Your money, I'm sorry. They was offering us big checks, $70,000 checks to stay on that show. I'm still a brother after this.
Foxx tried to limp through one last season without them, but let's be honest, In Living Color without the Wayans was like Cheers without Sam Malone. Sure, the bar was still open, but who's buying a drink?
It's a darn shame.
No, but we're not here to change the world.
Mom, I know.
We're just here to serve the kind of food weirdos and insomniacs love to eat.
And any other religion makes no difference to us.
Oh, you are a moron.
The Wayans went on to dominate comedy in the 90s and 2000s with The Wayans Brothers, Don't Be a Menace, the Scary Movie franchise, White Chicks, and a dozen other hits. In Living Color made them stars, and Walking Away is what made them legends. Number 4, Gary Burghoff, MASH. When people talk about the heart of MASH, they're usually talking about Radar O'Reilly, the baby-faced clerk who could hear helicopters before the pilots did, looked perpetually overwhelmed, and somehow kept a teddy bear alive through the Korean War. Played by Gary Burghoff, Radar was the only main cast member to appear in both the MASH movie and the series. He made the jump and made the role iconic. Before MASH, he played Charlie Brown on stage and drummed in a band with future Wonder Woman Linda Carter. That's right, Radar had rhythm, baby! The show itself was a wild mix of absurd comedy and gut-punch drama, and Radar was its moral center. Innocent, loyal, and completely competent in the middle of chaos. But by season 7, Burghoff had had enough. The long hours, the rewrites, and the emotional toll were pulling him away from his real life, and more importantly, from his kids. So he made the call to walk away. His final episodes aired early in season 8, culminating in the two-parter Goodbye Radar. On screen, Radar receives a hardship discharge after his uncle dies, allowing him to go home and help care for his mother.
Go get yourself a DA-7 hardship discharge and type your name on it.
I'm going home, sir?
Radar, Lord knows your mother is a strong woman, but she won't make it alone. You ought to be there with her.
But it's the teddy bear moment that gets you. Quietly placing it on Hawkeye's bunk wasn't just sweet, it was symbolic. Radar didn't need it anymore, he'd grown up. And then, no big farewell speech. Just a call to surgery, a rare salute from Hawkeye, and Radar fading into the background. Because in war, even the most personal moments get interrupted. After MASH, Burghoff reprised the role in After MASH, and a short-lived pilot called Walter, which aired once and was never seen again. Think of it as Radar's stealth mission to obscurity. But real-life Radar, well, he found his groove off-screen. Jazz drummer, wildlife painter, licensed animal handler, he even invented fishing gear because if you can manage a war zone, designing chum magic is light work. He returned briefly to acting in 2010's Daniel's Lot, but for the most part he stepped away on his own terms. Gary Burghoff didn't chase fame, he left it to build a quieter, more meaningful life, which, let's be honest, might be the most Radar move of all. Number 3, Charlotte Rae, The Facts of Life.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life.
If you grew up in the 80s, Edna Garrett wasn't just a TV house mother. She was the adult who actually had her act together. She listened, she gave advice, and she never told you to walk it off. Charlotte Rae took Ms. Garrett from Different Strokes to The Facts of Life and turned her into the glue holding Eastland together. She dished out life lessons, tough love, and cookies, in that order, by the way.
Hey, how'd your physical go?
Well, the doctor says it's safe for me to renew my magazine subscriptions for another year.
Yay!
For 7 seasons, she was the moral compass of a show that was part sitcom, part emotional boot camp. But by 1986, Rae was ready to hang up the apron. The girls were grown, she was in her 60s, and she'd done everything she could with the character, short of opening a chain of Mrs. Garrett's crises and casseroles. So she did something rare in TV. She asked to leave, and the writers actually gave her a real ending. She reconnected with an old flame named Bruce.
Oh, this is Dr. Bruce Gaines. I'd like you to meet Blair. Joe?
Then she got married, joined the Peace Corps, and jetted off to Africa, and honestly, that's icon behavior. To fill the Mrs. Garrett-shaped hole, the show brought in Cloris Leachman as her sister Beverly Ann. And if you're going to replace a sitcom legend, you might as well go with an Oscar winner.
Edna.
The Facts of Life ran for 2 more seasons and wrapped in 1988. Meanwhile, Rae kept working, guest roles on ER, Pretty Little Liars, voiceover gigs, and stage work. She even beat cancer, wrote a memoir, and stayed connected with fans right up until her passing in 2018 at the age of 92. Charlotte Rae didn't just leave a show. She left on her terms with grace, humor, and a passport stamp. That's how you exit like a legend. Number 2, Red Fox, Sanford and Son. Red Foxx didn't just star in Sanford and Son, he was Sanford and Son. Every "Elizabeth, I'm coming to join ya," every fake heart attack, every world-class insult turned Fred Sanford into sitcom royalty.
I've never had pains like this before. Oh, this is the worst one I ever had, son. Oh, it's the worst one. This is a big one. I'm dying.
But by 1974, the real drama wasn't on screen, it was in the contract negotiations. Fox demanded better pay, a share of the profits, and a dressing room that didn't look like a janitor's closet. NBC said no, and Fox said, "Alright, I'm out." And he meant it. He walked off the show during season 3 with no warning or finale, just bye. For 6 full episodes, Sanford and Son became Grady and Lamont, which felt less like a sitcom and more like a group project where the smartest kid never showed up.
Hey, what all's in here? Well, I got some cucumbers, lettuce, tomatoes, hoghead cheese, and a little wild parsley.
Eventually, NBC caved. Fox returned with a raise, a better deal, and a dressing room that didn't smell like Pine Sol, baby. But the cracks were there, and when the show ended in 1977, it was clear things had never fully healed. Fox gave it another go in 1980 with Sanford, a reboot that forgot to invite Lamont, Aunt Esther, or the original magic. It lasted 2 seasons, but nobody was calling it a comeback. Then came The Red Fox Show in 1986, where he played a diner owner surrounded by sitcom cliches. It lasted 3 months. NBC pulled the plug faster than Fred Sanford could fake a stroke. But in 1991, lightning almost struck again. Fox co-starred with Della Reese in The Royal Family, a CBS sitcom that finally felt like a return to form. Ratings were strong and the chemistry was real. And then tragedy struck. 3 episodes in, Fox collapsed on set from a heart attack and passed away. At first, everyone thought he was doing the bit, because of course they did. He wasn't, unfortunately. Red Fox was loud, sharp, and uncompromising, and he fought for what he deserved. He made millions laugh on his terms, and left behind a legacy that still echoes through every sitcom smart enough to cast a grumpy old man with a heart of gold. He didn't just fake the big one. He was the big one. Number 1, Mandy Patinkin, Criminal Minds. Some actors negotiate their exit. Others get a teary farewell episode. Mandy Patinkin? Well, he ghosted Criminal Minds like it was a bad Tinder date. As Jason Gideon, Patinkin was the moody moral compass of the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. When the show launched in 2005, he was its anchor, a brooding profiler who could catch a serial killer and quote Nietzsche before lunch.
If viewed correctly, whatever that means, one can see worldviews, obsessions, manifestations of the subconscious.
But just before season 3 started filming, Patinkin bailed via email. No goodbye, no explanation, just poof.
I'm out of here.
Cast and crew showed up to work and found out their star had vanished. Not written out and not recast, just gone. His reasoning was the constant stream of violence and darkness in the show, which he later said was destructive to his soul, which, fair, but most people give at least 2 weeks notice, not a 2-sentence email. And this wasn't his first disappearing act either. Back in the 90s, he starred as Dr. Jeffrey Geiger on Chicago Hope, won an Emmy in season 1, then bailed midway through season 2, citing burnout and a desire to spend more time with family.
Aaron, I made it.
You made what?
The Journal of Medicine. Surgeon ranking there. Cardiothoracic Jeffrey Geiger.
Same pattern, award-winning performance, dramatic exit, and writers left holding the bag. Eventually, Criminal Minds wrote Gideon off as having quietly resigned. Years later, they confirmed he'd been killed off-screen. Fitting, really, for a character and actor who had already vanished without warning. The show rolled on for 13 more seasons without him, but fans still remember those early episodes where Jason Gideon brought a perfect storm of brilliance, brooding, and emotional damage. After mastering the TV fade-out, Patinkin found his perfect landing spot as Saul Berenson on Homeland, a role that let him be paranoid, intense, and right all the time, but in a way that wouldn't make him quit. He's also still beloved for The Princess Bride, and if you've been on TikTok, you've probably seen him getting all emotional with his wife over soup. It's really kind of delightful. And there you have it, 10 more stars that left hit shows. Which of these departures hit you the hardest? And if you enjoyed this countdown, check out parts 1 and 2. We dropped the links in the comments section and description, and yes, part 4 is already in the works because you keep reminding us who we haven't covered yet. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Until then, this is Remember When.